what's up, y'all? It's Cracking This D. About to react to this video about Mind Warehouse. This is it in real life. Horror movies based on true stories. I saw that video, the real story of it, or the full story of it finally explained, or something like that. And I don't recall them saying that it was based on a true story, but maybe it was. I'm not sure. Maybe they mentioned that. I don't quite remember. But they have this very creepy picture of a clown with a little kid. So, you know, maybe that story does have some truth to it. I don't know, but we're about to find out. Let's watch.
Hi, everyone. Have you ever wondered about where writers find inspiration for their movies?
What movie is this?
Melodramas,
Jake,
comedies, and documentaries don't really raise any questions. The events in them may well be a reflection of life. But what about horror movies? The frightening events that are shown in them aren't from real life, right? You just don't want to believe in it, but you have to. Sometimes real events are the basis of horror movies, so get ready. Now we're going to tell you about 8 horror films that happened in real life. Let's get it on.
What is this? What the hell? Where is that from? That always gets me.
In August 2017, before the screening of the horror movie It, professional clowns in many countries of the world called to ban the film because it cultivates fear in people. However, to be honest, these guys worried about their profession woke up a bit too late. The reputation of clowns has long been spoiled. Right? It can't be recovered now, and all because of the wickedness of a man named John Wayne Gacy Jr. This serial killer terrified Cook County, Illinois for 6 long years. As a result of his activities, 33 people were killed, and everyone remembers John as the clown killer. What's the best way to gain a person's trust? Introduce yourself as a friendly, funny clown, of course. In the 70s, people weren't afraid of them. Therefore, unsuspecting victims willingly got in Gacy's car, and nobody saw these trusting people ever again.
Why would you get in his car? Just randomly, a clown car?
It was Gacy's horrible story that inspired Stephen King to create Pennywise, the main character of the book It, and the movie of the same name.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
1396. 10-year-old Natasha Kampusch lived in Vienna and never came late after school. That's why when on March the 2nd, 1998, she didn't come home after school, her mother got worried, and she was right to. It turned out that even though the girl went to school in the morning, she didn't make it to the classroom. A little later, there was a 12-year-old witness who said that she saw Natasha halfway to school. Somebody put her in a white van and drove away in an unknown direction. The police organized a mass investigation, which, however, did not lead to anything. While the police searched for the child and examined the cars matching the description, Natasha began to live a new life in prison. Her kidnapper was a man named Wolfgang Pricklepil. He carefully planned the crime and did everything so that nobody would ever find the girl. Under his house, he built a secret room of 5 square meters. It was located at a depth of 2.5 meters under the ground, had no windows, and was completely soundproof. 3 massive doors divided Natasha from freedom, one of them weighing 150 kilograms. Inside the room, there were lockers, a TV, a table, a chair, a sink, a fan, the sound of which, according to Natasha, was kind of a challenge for her. From time to time, Pricklepil let the girl take walks. There was no way to escape, and Natasha spent most of the time in this small room, feeling like an animal locked in a cage. The captivity lasted from the 2nd of March 1998 to the 23rd of August 2006. That's when she escaped. The girl spent 3,096 days with the maniac, isolated from the rest of the world. When she finally made it to the police, she was exhausted and weak, but still unharmed. But the police couldn't even catch Wolfgang Pricklepil. When he found out about Natasha's escape, he jumped in front of a train. This terrible story became the basis for a biographical horror film called 3,096 Days. After telling you this story, we'd like to remind you, never get in a car with strangers.
Of course.
Annabelle. In the
I
70s,
need
a
to be
girl
taught
named
to more
Donna
children.
received a Raggedy Ann doll for her birthday, and she couldn't even imagine what a gift she was presented with. Of course, she was happy at first. Despite the fact that she was in her 20s, she did love dolls. One day, Donna woke up and found a note on the floor next to the doll which said, "Help me." Donna and her roommate decided that someone was sneaking into their house at night. They put scotch tape on the door and placed the rug in a special way to check, but the rug stayed in the same position. The scotch tape didn't move, and the cryptic notes continued to appear. Soon, inexplicable sounds could be heard too. Something strange was clearly happening in the apartment. Doors and windows opened on their own, and the doll, as if alive, moved from place to place. If you like horror movies, you probably know the doll that we're talking about. The story
I didn't
involved
see
the
all the
well-known
Annabelles.
American researchers of the paranormal, Ed and Lorraine Warren. According to them, the doll was possessed by the devil himself, so they called an exorcist and then took her to the museum as an exhibit. If you watch the film Annabelle, you may have noticed an inscription saying that the film is based on a true story. Now you know that this is not a writer's trick to make you fear more or create an ominous atmosphere. Annabelle really exists, although it doesn't look quite as shown in the film. Open water. This story begins with some very joyful
I
events.
saw this
However,
movie.
it ends, but let's talk
Is it
about
the shark?
everything in order. Thomas Lonergan and Eileen Haynes met at the university and fell in love with each other at
They
first
died
sight. They
from
traveled a
sharks
lot,
at the end, I
loved
think.
scuba diving, and were a perfect couple.
Ambassador, the Honorable Taufa Bakatale.
Pakistai, Kimoto Fayakonga, Otengara Tuvalu, Motino Tuvalu.
On January the 25th, 1998, the couple went to dive in the Great Barrier Reef with a team. They didn't need an instructor. By that time, both Thomas and Eileen had already 160 dives under their belt. That day, they dived 3 times, and the fatal dive was the last and the third. While the couple was deep under the water, the team incorrectly counted the returned divers, so they didn't notice Thomas and Eileen weren't back. The ship went away, leaving 2 people completely alone in the middle of the ocean.
Oh, what the fuck?
The most striking thing is that nobody knew about the incident for about 2 days. It became known by accident. A team prepared a search, but everything was in vain. From time to time, parts of the wetsuits belonging to the couple were washed ashore. Neither Thomas nor Eileen were ever found. All that was left of them was a sign that was found on the shore 6 months later. Based on this story, the movie Open Water was filmed, although the main characters are named Daniel and Susan. Monster.
Oh, that's fucked
To perform the main
up.
role in this film, the beautiful Charlize Theron had to gain 13 kilograms and transform completely, all in order to play the role of the second woman maniac
great
in the
movie.
history of the US.
I knew this was a real story. I follow her story. This shit is
The
hella
life of
interesting.
Eileen Carol Warnos didn't go well from the beginning. She never knew her father. Her mother left her and her brother. The children lived with their grandparents, and overall, it wasn't a good life.
She
At the
did
age of
such a good
14,
job
she
on this
learned
movie.
about
She
her own
looks like
pregnancy,
her.
and after giving birth to her child, she left school. And at the age of 15, she ended up without a roof over her head and began to engage in unpleasant work to somehow get the means to exist.
They made her
Every
so
year, her life was
busted.
becoming more and more horrifying and sad. However, even this fact is no excuse for becoming a monster. The film tells the story of her life and her major crimes, and it was named like that for a reason. The woman committed her first murder on November the 30th, 1989. The victim was a man named Richard Mallory.
The cops knew who I was. After Richard Mallory died, I left prints everywhere, and they covered it up. Turned me into a serial killer.
In 1 year, Warnos killed 7 men. Every time she gave different statements to the court. At first, she told them she'd killed them to protect herself.
You sabotaged my aunt's society, and the cops, and the system.
After that, the woman began to tell that she was engaged
Charlize
in robbery
Theron
and
acted
didn't want
just
to
like
leave
her.
witnesses. And in the end, no one knew what motivated the 7 brutal crimes. Eileen Carol Warnos is no longer alive. For her crime, she received a total of 6 death sentences. Her life will forever remain in history thanks to the movie Monster. The Curse of Robert the Doll. If you
All
think
these
that
goddamn
Annabelle
dolls.
is the only creepy doll in the world that starred in a movie, you're very mistaken. Meet Robert. His story supposedly begins in the early 20th century. First, it was owned by Robert Eugene
I think I
Otto.
heard about
According
this
to
doll.
legends, the doll was given to the boy by a maid who put a terrible, dark curse on it. It was the cause of the strange events that were happening in the house. The doll winked and moved from room to room. Sometimes Eugene talked to Robert, and the doll supposedly answered him. Over the past 100 years,
doll is
Robert
so
has
ugly.
had several owners. He brought ill luck to everyone who treated him badly. Today, the doll is at the Martello Gallery, Key West Art and Historical Museum.
No.
Anyone who takes a picture of Robert without asking permission is cursed. That is why the museum receives
Yeah, I
dozens
heard
of
about
letters
that.
every day in which visitors apologize for their incivility and ask Robert to take their curse off of them. Apparently, his story isn't just a fiction, so it's not surprising that in honor of this story, a movie was created, The Curse of Robert the Doll.
Why would you take pictures if they tell
If
you
you
not
like
to?
traveling, we recommend you to be alert when you visit the waters in Burundi, because here lives the most famous Nile crocodile, whose story makes your blood
I think
run
I heard
cold.
about. I think
His
I saw this
name is
movie.
Gustave, and it's impossible to ascertain the exact amount of his human victims. According
this
to the
movie.
most conservative assumptions, in the last few years, the crocodile killed about 200 or 300 people off the shores of the Ruzizi River.
I remember that name,
Nile
Gustav.
crocodiles, as you know, can live for 70 to 100 years. Numerous attempts to catch Gustave didn't lead to anything, and the exact size of the monster is unknown. It's only clear that he is huge. Most likely it's more than 6 meters long, and it weighs over a ton. It's hard to believe that Gustave is real, but he is, and he terrifies both local people and animals. The story of the giant man-eating crocodile is told in the movie Primeval.
Yeah, I remember
Deliver
that
us from
movie.
evil. It's hard to believe that this film, which recounts the disturbing and inexplicable events that took place in New York, was based on a true story. However, it is true. The story of how an officer was forced to turn to an exorcist was based on the autobiographical book Beware
I don't
the
think I
Night,
saw this. I
written
think
by
I heard of
former
it, though.
policeman Ralph Sarchi. The man says that during the service he faced supernatural forces more than once. What he'd seen impressed him so much that in the end he even changed his profession, and today he works as an assistant priest. The film's director, Scott Derrickson, says that his film is not demon propaganda. However, he believes that people should take everything paranormal very seriously.
I agree. I think you should take it very serious. Like, this shit is not a game. A lot of people think, oh, it's fake, it's not real, till some shit happened to you, then you shook. So I believe in all this shit. So yeah, I definitely wouldn't go to no museum and take no pictures of no random demonic doll. Like, what is wrong with people? This was really interesting though. A lot of this I didn't know, but let me know what y'all thought though. Let me know what other videos you want me to react to, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.